there. Thank you for joining us again on another of our conversations. I'm Dr. Mahendra Carpen, Head of Medical Services and Cardiology at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. We continue our conversations around topics related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And if you have questions, please feel free to send us WhatsApp messages to 620-6275 or send an email to docandcovid@gmail.com. As usual, I start off this program by wearing my mask in a manner that covers both my nose and mouth. But for the rest of our conversations, I will take this off because there's no one in studio with me, so I am at no risk to anyone close to me, and no one close to me is posing a risk to me. So we're going to address an important question that was sent to us by one of our viewers. And the question revolves around two things. One, the use or consumption of vitamin C, which is quite abundant in our normal environment in Guyana. And then a very common practice that was questioned here about nasal vaporization. So the two questions that we're going to look at are posed by someone who essentially asks, if you have symptoms of COVID-19, one, can you take 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C per day? And two, can you do nasal vaporizations 3 times per day? Important questions, and maybe that question is on the mind of a lot of people. So we take this opportunity to try and shed some light on the answers. If we look at foods that are rich in vitamin C, now many persons have access to vitamin C tablets, whether they're in the effervescent form or forms that you have to just drink. But there are lots of foods that we have in the market, in our kitchen gardens, in neighbor's yard. These are all available. Things like oranges and bananas, peppers, broccoli, tomatoes, kiwi. In fact, a lot of our sour fruits have high contents of vitamin C. And so those can help with increasing our body's concentration and supply of vitamin C. There are important things that you need to know about vitamin C, especially if you're considering increasing consumption, whether it's in the form of foods, tablets, or liquids, syrups, whatever form you're trying to increase your body's consumption. There are important facts that you need to know. And here is one myth that we tend to hear. Taking extra amounts of vitamin C can prevent COVID-19. The question is asking, or the myth is that taking vitamin C can prevent COVID-19. Here's the fact. At this time, there is no scientific evidence that suggests that vitamin C can prevent the spread of COVID-19 infection. So we have two things to deal with. One is prevention and then treatment. So we've answered definitively the role of vitamin C in prevention. There is no role for prevention of COVID-19. So that's an important one. However, we do know that there are some benefits to vitamin C, and these are multiple and can affect multiple organ systems in the body. So vitamin C is generally a good thing to have. So what are some of the benefits of consumption of vitamin C? Or why is vitamin C important? Well, it does actually support the immune system. The immune system is your body's defense mechanism against infection and certain disease states. Vitamin C contributes to the normal functioning of the immune system. So your soldier cells or your attack cells, they require certain amount of vitamin C to do their job and defend you against invading infectious particles. Vitamin C also increases the absorption of iron, which is important for several functions, essential functions of the human body. Vitamin C also contributes to a reduction in tiredness and fatigue, and it actually helps you feel better, a little bit more energized. And it also contributes to collagen formation. Collagen is tissue that exists oftentimes between bone and muscle, and it improves the general musculoskeletal health of individuals who consume regular vitamin C. But not everything is good about vitamin C. Like everything that we take in, there are risks, there are benefits, there are side effects. So let us look at what vitamin C toxicity represents. The toxicity symptoms mainly are in the gastrointestinal system. That is your tummy, your stomach, your esophagus. And the main symptoms would be nausea, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, sometimes headache, fatigue, and difficulty sleeping. In some patients, one can develop hot flashes and rashes. Vitamin C can also interfere with certain medical tests, creating false positive or false negative. And in some patients, especially those who have underlying gout that is not properly controlled, it can cause an aggravation of gouty symptoms. It can also cause aggravation of urinary tract infections and kidney stones. In general, the upper limit for a normal person on a daily basis is 2,000 milligrams per day. And our listener or viewer wanted to know about 5,000 milligrams per day. So at 5,000, it is likely and quite possible that one would experience the unwanted side effects of vitamin C. We usually recommend a maximum of 2,000 milligrams per day. And some persons may not be able to tolerate up to 2,000. In fact, lots of persons may develop symptoms, especially diarrhea, nausea, and abdominal cramps with about 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C for the day. The other common question that we get in Guyana in general is about the use of garlic. Now, garlic is, a very nice ingredient to include in all kinds of foods and dishes, and in fact, many of our native dishes and what we enjoy, especially as we're coming about the Christmas season, it involves the use of garlic and onion and stuff. But here's a particular question that we need to consider. Can eating garlic help prevent infection with the new coronavirus? And the answer is garlic is a healthy food that may have some antimicrobial properties. However, there is no evidence from the current outbreak that eating garlic has protected people from coronavirus or COVID-19. So essentially, garlic may help, but there is actually no evidence that convinces us that it helps. We know there's not a lot of harm that we can come up with, but perhaps it can be used and help in other ways. So that's the questions pertaining to vitamin C and COVID-19, and we added a bonus answer for the use of garlic in COVID-19. The second question that was raised by this viewer pertains to nasal vaporization. And many of us who have grown up in the countryside, and maybe even the Georgetown and the city folks, we're accustomed to whenever you get a cold or a sniffle, your grandma, your mom, your aunt, somebody puts a bowl of hot water. Oftentimes they can put some Vicks in it, they put some lemon or garlic, and they cover your head with a towel and ask you to breathe in deeply in with the steam. Now, here is something very important to note. High temperatures can actually kill the coronavirus. But when we're talking high temperature, we're talking about 56 degrees Celsius. And that temperature is needed to reach in the airways, the lungs, the back of the throat, etc. Human damage to cells and tissue happen around 41, 42 degrees. So for you to get temperatures high enough to kill the coronavirus, you would also be causing significant thermal or heat damage to your soft tissue from the nose, the mouth, the throat, and definitely in the lungs. So that is something to bear in mind, that this inhalation of steam, it is not usually hot enough to cause damage or destruction of the virus, but it can actually cause heat injury to the person who is inhaling it. This process has been called TOB, and there are some myths and facts as it relates to this. What is TOB, or steam inhalation therapy? It is an age-old technique where people cover their head with a towel over a pan filled with hot water, inhaling hot steam for several minutes. What is the fact as it relates to this? It moisturizes dry, irritated nasal and throat passages, making them more comfortable. But here are a couple of pertinent myth busters. It is not a cure for COVID. It cannot kill the coronavirus, and it is not a prevention for COVID. So it is a comfortable technique sometimes if you're stuffy, but it has the potential to cause burns in your nasal passages if it is too hot, and it definitely has no benefits against the coronavirus. It doesn't cure, it cannot kill the virus, and it certainly does not prevent the coronavirus. Important to summarize that, there is no scientific evidence that TOB, or steam inhalation therapy, kills the coronavirus or the SARS-CoV-19 virus. So that is very important for us to remember. And the next pertinent fact as it relates to these moisturized therapy for the upper airway, the question is, can regularly rinsing your nose with saline help to prevent infection with coronavirus? No, there is no evidence that regularly rinsing the nose with saline has protected people from infection with the coronavirus. There is, however, some limited evidence that regularly rinsing the nose with saline can help people recover more quickly from the common cold. So it has some benefits in the common cold, but not in coronavirus. However, regularly rinsing the nose has not been shown to prevent respiratory infections. So I hope this answers the two main questions that were posed. The first one as it relates to vitamin C consumption, and then the second question as it relates to nasal vaporizations. Remember, if you have questions, feel free to send us a WhatsApp message on 620-6275 or send us an email to docandcovid@gmail.com. Thank you very much for joining us.